Welcome back to FM Live. My name is Mike, and today we're going to talk about the Tobu wheels. So, 2 weeks ago, I guess now, if you're watching this live, we covered a video talking about our Kogeki wheels, and so now we're going to talk about the other wheels that we have, which are the Tobus, and what makes them different, why we have two different models of wheels that we offer. So, just to start off and let you know, we are going to be posting this video elsewhere, so if you have questions, please post them down in the comments below. We will try to answer them at the end. So if I'm talking through this video and you don't get your question answered by what we're talking about during the video, I'll try to answer your question at the end. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube or after the fact, of course, feel free to still comment and we would be happy to reach out to you and answer those questions as well. So, let's start off by talking about just some of the basics of the wheel. I've got my cheat sheet here. It's going to get really nerdy, so strap in. We're going to talk a lot of numbers and specs and fitment. And basically, these wheels, flip this one up so you can see the face as well. These are Tobu wheels. They are an FM house brand as far as you can't get these anywhere else. They're just made for us. They are manufactured by a company called Titan 7, and these wheels are a fully forged wheel, meaning that they're not rotary spun, they're not flow formed, they're actually a forged wheel, that the whole wheel is a blank that's then machined out for the face. But that means that being a fully forged wheel is that they're super, super strong. So other wheels such as like low pressure cast or even high pressure cast wheels, they are pretty common. Forged wheels are much, much stronger because the forging process actually forces all of the molecules and components of the metallurgy to be more uniform, really, to try to boil it down. And that makes the wheel much stronger, much more resistant to bending, warping, breaking, that kind of stuff. If you want to see an even nerdier explanation of the forged wheels or what it means to have a forged wheel, we have a couple of links that we'll post down in the comments below, so that way you can check out the document and the informational stuff that Titan 7 provides for their forged wheels. So, without further ado, let's talk about the fitment, because that's what most of you are interested in, right? We want to put these on our Miatas. So, just to run through some of the specs here, these guys, what we offer, you can see that they're quite wide. They are a 17 by 9. And that is currently the only size that we offer. And we'll cover more about that in a little bit. But these are a 4x100, meaning that this is going to be a wheel that would fit the ND generation because it's also a plus 45 millimeter offset, which is appropriate for a 9-inch wheel on the ND generation, 4th generation. So, will this fit my NA or NB? Technically, you could bolt it up to an NA or NB because it does have the correct bolt pattern for it. The problem is that the offset is not correct. So you'd actually have issues where the inside face or the inside lip would probably contact suspension components. So if you really, really want to put these on an NA or NB, you could, but you'd probably need at least a 10 millimeter wheel spacer to make it work. But these are really designed for the ND because of the offset that they have. And also it's tough to get 23-inch tall tires that are suitable for a 17 by 9 that you want to put on an NA or NB Miata. So, the center bore, talking about this guy right here, is 67.1 millimeter. And then also the weight, which I'm sure a lot of you are interested in for these forged wheels. One of the other benefits of a forged wheel over, such as like a flow formed or other kind of cast wheel, is generally going to be lighter. And these are 14.99 pounds, which is very light. Most of the other 17 by 9s that you're going to see on the market that are flow formed, cast, that kind of stuff, are usually going to be somewhere north of 15 pounds, 15, 16, 17, depending on who you're buying from. So, being that it's a forged wheel, you can shave off quite a bit of weight because you don't need as much material in the spokes or in the hub portion of the wheel. You can shave a lot of that down, the material down, and still maintain a lot of strength. So also, talking about strength, these wheels, they are actually rated for 550 kilograms. And why is that important? Well, 550 kilograms is actually 50 kilograms over the industry standard rating, which is the JW, what is it? Oh, I'm sorry, J2530, which is rated at 500 kilograms. And in Freedom units, that's 100 or 1,102 pounds is that national or that industry standard. So ours being 550 kilograms or 1,213 pounds, the rating, basically we wanted to give ourselves a little bit extra margin. So just like the Kogekis, we have them rated for a stronger than the industry standard rating for aftermarket wheels. To put that in perspective, the factory wheels are actually rated for only 330 kilograms or 728 pounds. So this is definitely a much, much stronger wheel than the factory. That being said, as far as the strength ratings are concerned, these are something that technically, even though they're rated for the 550 pounds, they're probably able to withstand a lot more than that because they are forged compared to the flow form wheels that we were talking about before. Also, because of this strength, they actually do feature a limited lifetime warranty through Flyin Miata. So if you are the original purchaser of a Tobu wheel, then say if you experience some kind of a failure, or it has a, whether it be a crack that happens when you're driving, or if you experience some other failure of the wheel, not caused by going over a big pothole or, hitting a curb or, doing something, getting in an accident. Obviously we can't cover that kind of stuff, but if there's an issue where just driving the car normally on the street or even on the track, you're covered if you're the original purchaser. Now, even the finish, this is a pretty high quality finish, but we offer a 1-year warranty on the finish. So if for whatever reason you have an issue where it starts flaking or something like that, which I would not ever expect that to happen, but if it does, we've got you covered. So this is something, again, for the original purchaser only. If you get these secondhand wheels, hopefully you got a good deal, but sorry, the warranty doesn't apply to you. So more about the weight. We had several people that were asking us about these wheels to compare them versus the factory wheels. So being that these are 14.99 pounds, that's actually a little over a pound lighter than the factory the factory club wheels that are 17 by 7s. And then they're more than 3 pounds lighter per wheel than the factory GT wheels, the 17 by 7s that come on the 4th generation Miatas. And they're also 2 inches wider, obviously, so you're getting a lot of performance for even less weight than the factory stuff while being way, way stronger. Sounds like a win-win-win situation, right? So there's a ton to like about them. The other thing is that this gives you several different options for tire sizes. So normally, if you want to fit a 17 by 9 wheel on your ND, say this is going to be a car that you need to fit in a certain class, or you simply don't want to do any kind of fender rolling, but you want to fit a nice big meaty tire on your 17 by 9, you can do a 235/40 size tire. And unless you're doing something like a Hoosier or some kind of a slick tire that has a very square edge, most street tire or street-oriented 235/40s will fit on your 9-inch wide wheel on your ND Miata without needing to roll your fenders. If you're assuming that you're not running really, really strange alignment or something like that, of course. But if you're looking to do an even more aggressive or wider tire, or something like a Hoosier that has a very square sidewall, then you could run a 245/40, something a little bit wider, or there are even some 255s out there. But of course, if you do anything like that, 245 or above, you're probably going to be rolling your fenders and or doing a little bit of fender liner, that plastic material on the inside, doing some massaging with a heat gun and a glove or spoon or something like that, because there's some protrudences. Probably messing that up. It sticks out in a few spaces, and so you may need to use a heat gun to help smoosh that plastic away to getting some more clearance, along with rolling your fenders a little bit for those bigger, wider tires. So, also, brake fitment. That's another pretty common question that we get, and really that all boils down to what the shape of the back of the spokes are, as well as the distance away from the mounting hub. And the good news is that we designed these wheels to have all the brake clearance. So these will fit all factory options, whether you have the one piston calipers that are just pullers, or if you have the Brembos, no big deal, tons and tons of room. You even have plenty of room for any of our big brake kits. So if you want to look at our little big brake kit, or even our 6-piston big Mama Jama brake kit, they all fit. You'll likely have brake clearance for pretty much else that's out there. You know, I can't guarantee other brands because we haven't tested everything, but odds are that you'll probably have plenty of room for other big brake kits on the market. If you're not sure and you have a super large rotor or calipers that have 37 pistons on them, you might talk to us first, or just order one to give it a test fit before you get a full set and mount tires on it, but odds are pretty good that it'll probably be just fine. Okay, so we talked some nerdy stuff. Let's go back to the design process and kind of lighten it up a little bit. So these wheels, they do have some pretty interesting features on them, and you might be wondering, okay, well, how did you come about with this design? Why did you choose this particular spoke count, yada, yada, yada? Simply put, a lot of it comes down to we like the way it looks. Hopefully you do too. But we like the aesthetics. We wanted to keep it relatively simple and straightforward because we figured that most people that are buying these wheels for their Miata are likely racing them. So you want something that's not overly crazy. And if you're not buying these for your race Miata, then likely you want something that still is going to look really nice and be easier to clean, that kind of thing. So we tried to stay with a relatively simple design. Nothing groundbreaking here, but one of the cool features that you can probably see in one of these close-up shots that Travis has been so kind to do is that these spokes actually have these little pockets or grooves almost. And so the shape of these spokes is actually kind of like an I-beam. And not only does it look cool, but it also offers a lot more strength and rigidity. So these spokes are much less likely to bend or twist, but those little pockets allow us to shave out just a little bit of material on both sides without sacrificing that strength. So weight savings with strength built in, but you know, of course, looks pretty awesome. So one of the other things about the design for these wheels, of course, we didn't want to just say, hey, these look cool, please make them for us. We also had Titan 7 do a full structural analysis using FEA, or finite element analysis, for those of you that know what that is. If you don't worry. Basically, they take this design as a 3D model, and they input some other calculations to show what kind of material it's made out of, and then they'll put it in a basically digital stress test, and they'll see what components might be weak, and if they have any points that have issues or think that that could be a potential weak spot because of the design or the material, then they can change that digitally before we even make it into a real live wheel. So that was something that we did beforehand because, again, we want these wheels to withstand the test of time. We want them to be strong. We want them to be reliable. And the fact that they look cool is, you know, it's just a side benefit, right? Okay, one of the things to mention, because you've seen it now, I'm sure in several of these shots, is these center caps. So these center caps, they are optional equipment, meaning that if you get just the wheels by themselves, they are not included, but we do have them separately. They're not terribly expensive. They are a aluminum face with a plastic backing plate, and that plastic just makes it easier to clip them into space. And you can see that they sit flush. So it's a very clean look. It doesn't stick out. Very easy on the eyes. The reason also why they're not a standard feature is because, again, we expect a lot of the Miata owners that are getting these wheels are going to race their car, and because it does have that plastic clip to hold it in place on the back, your wheels get really hot because they're right next to really hot brakes if you're driving on the track, and that plastic does melt. Ask me how I know. So if you're planning on tracking these wheels and you want the center caps to look good on the street, just make sure that you remove them before you go to the track. That way you don't accidentally come back missing a few center caps, or come back after a track day and see that they've melted and sagged down. It's kind of a sad day. Okay, another feature on here, let me flip this around so that way you can see better, that we get some questions about are the holes for the valve stems. So these are just standard valve stem holes, nothing special. You can fit any kind of standard valve stem in them, whether it be a rubber valve stem, off the shelf from anywhere. You can fit aluminum valve stems in them. My personal preference is to use an aluminum or some kind of a hard valve stem, just because it's a little bit more convenient to air them up if you're using a longer tool to reach. But either one works just fine, no big deal. There's plenty of room. You can fit TPMS sensors. So if these are going on a car, a Miata that has TPMS sensors, they will fit, no problem. Stock ones or most of the aftermarket variants, they've got the same basic clearance and shape here in the valley where that hole is, so no problem there. At the current moment, we do not have any color-matched valve stems. Sorry, guys. But there are lots of options on the market. We do have some in stock right now that are a few different colors. They're not the same manufacturer. Turns out it is difficult to find wheels that are manufactured by a company that also offers valve stems. Who knew? But if you don't like the ones we have, any off-the-shelf valve stem that's a standard design will work just fine. So why are these expensive? That's a good question, because these are more expensive. They're roughly, well, I think they're a little bit more than double the expense of our Kogeki wheels, or they're right there at about double. The reason is that forged wheels are a lot more costly to make. The materials, the billet that's used to make these wheels is more expensive. The machining process and the labor to actually make them into the shape is more expensive. And in general, they have a higher quality finish. They're a little bit nicer. Everything is just a little bit more dialed in. So yeah, they're going to cost a lot more because of what they are. I guess I'll leave it up to you to decide. Is it worth it to go with Tobu's? I don't know. They have a lot of good qualities for them. Another question for our European friends. Do they have TUV, or are they TUV approved, TUV? No, unfortunately not. They do not have TUV approval, and maybe that'll change in the future, but right now, unfortunately, they don't have TUV approval. So if that is important to you, please make sure to check your local laws if that applies, but at the current moment, they do not. Are they available in any other colors? And I apologize, I should have covered that earlier, but these are the two options that we have right now. We've got the bronze and then the gunmetal. They're both very attractive colors in my mind, but at the moment, they are what we have. If you think that you'd like to see these Tobu wheels in a different color, let us know. Drop us a comment down below, send us an email. You can also message us on Facebook or Instagram. That's the best way to let us know that you're interested in any specific other color. So please, we'd love to know what you think. At the moment, these are very popular colors and they have been doing well. But if you'd love to see us offer something else, drop us a comment or drop us an email or a message and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Another common question is, are these available in other sizes? At the moment, no. Again, though, if you think that, hey, that'd be great to have this in a 17x8, or I'd love to have these for NAs or NBs in a 15-inch size, or whatever, drop us a comment below, send us an email, send us a message on Instagram or Facebook. Let us know. The more information that we get from our customers, the more feedback that we can say, okay, this is a popular wheel size or color that you want. Maybe we can bring it to market. It's always an option, so let us know if you'd like to see some other sizes. For right now, it's just 17x9s in the ND fitment. And the last question that we got beforehand is, what is staff favorite between the gunmetal or the bronze? I suppose it probably depends on who you're asking, Personally, I'm kind of a bronze fanboy, so that would be my pick. Although a lot of guys do like the gunmetal. One, it's a little bit more subtle, so if you're not 16, you're not looking to have the hot boy wheel color. They also hide brake dust a lot better than the bronze. So if you're more interested in trying to make them or trying to keep them looking nice without applying as much effort, especially if you spend a lot of time on the track, gunmetal may be a better option for you. They are not quite the same silver color as the stock wheels. So if you're looking to emulate stock, it's closer. It doesn't have as much metallic fleck to it as the stock wheels do, but it does have a little bit. So if that's important to you, obviously that's going to be closer than bronze, but it's not an exact match. So anyway, oh, you know what I didn't cover? I apologize. This is one of the other specifications I missed at the very top. These wheels, just like our Kogekis, have a knurled bead seat. So this knurl means that it grips onto the bead of the tire and prevents the tire from slipping or rotating against the wheel. And this isn't likely to be a problem for most Miata owners, especially if you don't have any additional horsepower, but if you drive really aggressively, and especially if you have a turbo, super, or some kind of an engine swap, yeah, maybe you will be slipping tires on the wheel. So to prevent that, we added knurls on both the inside and the outside lip of the barrel to help keep that tire bead intact and prevent it from slipping. So, yay for traction. All right, so I think that's pretty much all that I had planned in advance. Thank you all for the questions and all the suggestions for content that you'd like for this video. Appreciate that. If you have any other questions or need anything else that we didn't cover in this video, please leave a comment for us or get a hold of us via Facebook or email or Instagram, or give us a call. We'd love to hear back from you. So now, if we have any customers that have, or fans, I guess I shouldn't just limit you to customers, sorry. If we have anybody that's interested in these wheels that's left us a comment, let's check and see if we've got anything now that's popped up.
We have a few questions.
Okay, we do. Excellent. So what do we have?
First one, I don't know about this. Are we planning to have a European dealer?
Are we planning to have a European dealer? Planning to? Not yet. We would love to. If you're somebody who lives in Europe and you work on Miatas or MX-5s, let us know. It's certainly a possibility. We don't have anybody currently set up that stocks these wheels. So if you're somebody who caters to MX-5s in Europe that would like to stock Tobus or Kogekis, certainly let us know. Send us a message, get a hold of us. Probably right now via email is the best. It may take a few days for us to get back to us, but send us a message and we'll see what we can do.
Next, can you address brake pad dust best practices that matter more when you have nice wheels?
Okay.
How to prevent?
Question was about brake dust and how to address it on nicer wheels. So this can kind of get off topic a little bit, but really the simple answer here is clean your wheels and clean them often. And if you're going to try to keep them looking as nice as possible, you want to use some kind of a soap that doesn't have any real harsh chemicals in it. That way you're not peeling off the clear coat, because these do have a clear coat on them, as most aftermarket and even stock wheels do. So, I mean, you can use Dawn and dishwater, and that usually works just fine. There are plenty of other automotive brand soaps that you can get. If you want to get really nerdy, I'm sure that Travis can drop some links down in the comments below for some products that he uses. He is our resident yeah, I was going to say something. Detail nerd? I don't know. He has a lot of experience in detailing cars, and I'm sure he can drop some helpful hints down below in the comments after this video is done. So basically, keep it clean as often as you can. Don't let it sit on for too long, because that's usually when the brake dust starts eating into your finish.
Wheel wax and ceramic coat can help it stop it.
And Travis is also mentioning over the camera that using wheel wax and a ceramic finish on your wheels, just like you would paint on a car, is another good idea if you really care about keeping the finish on your wheels nice. So again, I'll let Travis post some links to that to help out. So good question though, thank you.
Next question, will we be offering these in 5 lug for NCs?
So, question about NC fitment. We would love to hear from you. Basically, the answer is maybe. Drop us a comment down below. You've already done in this video, so I appreciate it. We will take that into consideration. If there are enough people that would like to see an NC fitment wheel, then we may very well make an option for that. So if you know that you've got like-minded friends that have NC Miatas, or whatever for NAs and NBs, or whatever for NDs, let us know. Send us a message, ask them to send us messages. Basically, if we can get enough interest in it, then it's very possible that we'll try to make it in that size or fitment. Next question.
How come our 17x9s don't have rubbing issues, but other people on forums with 17x9s will hit the LCA or fender liner at full lock?
Oh, good question. So it really doesn't make a whole bunch of difference what the brand of wheel is.
Repeat the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should repeat the question. So the question was about fitment with our 17x9s hitting the upper control arm or hitting the fender liner at full lock. And just to repeat myself earlier, it doesn't matter the brand. Really what matters is the spec of the wheel. So being that it's a 17, obviously, but a 9-inch width and then a plus 45 millimeter offset, because that determines where the wheel is relative to the hub mounting on the vehicle. So can you get rub at full lock? Sure. Yeah, you absolutely can. And generally speaking, that's not an area where most people spend time. So if you are running, let's just say if you're running a 235/45 tire, so that's going to have a little bit of stretch on the sidewall of your tire, but it's going to be a smaller size tire, so you won't have to worry about rubbing on the fender lip. You won't have to worry about rubbing on the fender liner necessarily, but the inside lip of the wheel is not changed. So at full lock, if you really cram it into full lock, you can get some contact. And that's going to be true for whatever brand that you're talking about. So if you drive the car at full lock, my recommendation is be mindful of that if you go with 17x9s from anybody of this particular offset. It can happen. It doesn't happen for most people because most people don't use full lock, but it's something to be aware of. If you happen to do it and you start hearing noises, let your wheel fall back to center a little bit. That way you don't continue to scrape up your wheels. But that's something to be aware of, just because with a 9-inch wheel that's this offset, or even if you have a wheel that has a less aggressive offset, so it has an even larger number than 45, basically drawing it into the center line of the vehicle a bit more, then that's going to be a problem. The problem is that if you start moving that offset further out, then you're going to have even more clearance issues with your fenders. But, if you're okay doing over fenders or something like that, you could do that to avoid it. It's all just a balancing act of how wide a wheel do you want to fit and what problems do you want to solve to get that size tire in there under your car. So, good question though. Thank you for asking. Do we have anything else? That's it for today? Okay. So, and I apologize if we didn't get your comment or didn't see it. We're dealing with a phone in a not as Wi-Fi secured environment today. So our comments are probably rolling a little slower than they usually do. But if we didn't answer your comment in the video, we'll make sure to answer it in the comments below after it's been posted. So thanks again for watching. As always, we certainly appreciate it. I appreciate you bearing with me. Lots of interesting, slightly nerdy content, but hopefully everybody that has tuned in today is into that kind of stuff. We do try to do more technical-oriented videos, at least to some of the extent that it's interesting and has a relative subject to Miatas, as much as we can. So if you'd like to see anything else, if you have suggestions for other videos that you'd like us to talk about, also feel free to drop those in the comments below. We would love to hear what you want to see. If it's something that applies to Miatas and is, an interesting topic that we can cover, we will probably see if we can do that in the future. So until next time, we'll be here again the same time next week on Thursday at about 2 o'clock. We appreciate it. And remember, kids, stay in spool.